All right, so now we're on to part 2 of lesson 7, which is to go over angles. I'm sure you all have heard the name angles before, or the word angles before, and a lot of you probably know what they're talking about. So let's talk about our I can statements. The I can statement for this section is I can name rays and angles. Okay, so let's talk about what an angle is. An angle in plane geometry is an angle is the figure formed by two rays called the sides of an angle, sharing a common endpoint called the vertex of the angle. So what that means is, if you look at this figure here, this is a ray, this is a ray, and they meet together at the vertex. And because we have two rays meeting at one point, they form an angle. Which, if you don't know, angles are formed in degrees. Sorry, angles are measured in degrees. My apologies. So if you don't know what a degree is, the best way I can think to describe it is if we have a clock. It goes from 12 all the way around back to 12. So if I have one hand pointing at this 3 here, and I have another hand pointing up, the 12, this is 90 degrees. A clock contains 360 degrees, as do all circles, and every fourth of that clock is 90 degrees. So I can break it up into 90-degree chunks. Which, that's not too important for you to remember right now. That's something we'll cover more later. I just want you to kind of have some idea of how degrees look. So let's go on to this next part here. So one of the most important things about how to deal with angles is the vertex. The vertex is the point where two rays meet. Again, like this example here, this little point here is the vertex, and ray 1 and ray 2 are coming from that. This is forming an angle, and at the center of that angle is the vertex. That's going to be important for naming our angles. All right, so let's take a look at this angle here. We have two rays. We have ray ED, and we have ray EF. They form an angle. So if we look where both of these rays meet, they meet at point E. So we can call E the vertex. Okay, so let's say that we want to name this ray, this angle. Well, we've got a few ways we can do that. Let's change the color here. So let's just take a look at two of the most basic ways. Since we only have two rays here meeting, we can just use the vertex. So I could call this angle E. I can also use the word angle instead if I want to. Angle E. Another thing I can do is I can use all 3 points, which to be honest is the best way to do it in case we had a third ray popping out somewhere. So I can call this angle going from one tip of the ray to the other, angle DEF. Or go from the other direction and go FED. One thing to remember is our vertex, which is E, has to be in the middle. If the vertex is not in the middle, then it is not named correctly. Okay, take a look at the next example. All All right, so something happened here in the middle, but the one thing to remember is that's just supposed to be 1 point, so let's just pretend like it is. Okay, so what we have here is we have two rays. We have ray BA and we have ray BC. Both of these rays, they meet at point B, so we can call point B, this point here, this is our vertex. Now, if you notice this right here in the middle, this 3 is identifying this angle as angle 3. Don't get this confused with the number of degrees because there are no degree symbols there. So let's talk about ways we can name this. We can call this, as we did before, angle ABC, going from one tip of the angle all the way through, so A, B to C. We can go the other direction, so CBA, making sure our vertex is in the middle. Which again, if we just have two rays, I can also use just angle B, but I don't like to use this one unless I just have to. And because we have this in the middle, this number 3, I can technically call this angle 3. So there's 3, technically 4 ways to name this angle. And again, I can use this angle symbol or the word angle. Whatever works best for you in the situation. All right, so if you have any questions, just let me know.